Reading 2 books in 1 week? Oh, we are so bad. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer, now also a booktuber. You can find my music in The Wheel of Time Season 2, His Dark Materials Season 3, and the newly released The Hills of Tenjiko, the featured song in The Wheel of Time Season 3, Episode 6. And today, we are going to talk about, as I always do on Mondays, the weekly reading roundup. What is it, you might say? For those of you who are new to the channel, it's the way I take stock for the week, talk a little bit about my reading life, my music life. Sometimes they are intertwined as I write a lot for book adaptations. So if you like this kind of video, please like and subscribe. And as always, now on to what I read. So as I mentioned in the cold open, I got a chance to read 2 full books this week. Didn't hurt that those books weren't massive chonkers like the usual ones I typically read. So let's talk about those 2 books. Now the first one I was particularly excited about. I had bought on Kindle to support my dear friend and awesome author Philip Chase for his newest entry in the Idan series. He had written an Idan trilogy with The Way of Idan, The Prophet of Idan, and The Return to Idan, and now he followed it up with While Darkness Gathers. Now, as I mentioned, I read it on the Kindle, but he kindly sent me a beautiful, beautiful paperback. Look at this cover. This might be my favorite cover of the 4, honestly. I just love the design of it. It really lives up to what the story is about. So it is just, I mean, there's a reason why Philip Chase is going to be an auto-buy author for me, as this book is no exception to the high pedigree that he has already established in the Idan trilogy. Now, this takes place 16 years after the events of the Idan trilogy, so I would highly recommend. You could technically read this as a standalone without having read the trilogy, but you would miss out on a lot of the emotional pathos that is established in that original trilogy. So highly recommend you read that first before you read this one. Now this one is much shorter than the other books. Those are clocking in at 600 to 800 pages, so much more like the typical fantasy size. This one is more of a bite-sized snack. So let's talk about this book. I thought that on the whole, it was a fantastic entry. I liked this because it was a tight storyline. I thought the plot was very singularly focused, which worked to its advantage. I felt like, you know, similar to the Idan trilogy, the characters immediately leap off the page. The side characters, you kind of know them instantly. It doesn't take a long time to figure out who is this person again, which is, you know, a very hard skill to balance to strike, I think, when storytelling in fantasy. I think it's something that Philip Chase really does well. You really feel the emotional beats of this, which is also impressive given its shorter length. You know, even though it takes time to build to its conclusion, it still feels like it is well earned, and the payoff feels like a payoff. I would say for me personally, I still feel like the trilogy might be my favorite, although this is at a close second. I think this is a fine entry into the series, and I'm really hoping that Philip Chase does more in the series. I read this very fast, just in a matter of like 3-4 days. So I was very taken with this book immediately. You know, the scope of it is much bigger, right? This is more of a singularly focused storyline involving specific characters, which is awesome in its own right. And I think that's the type of storytelling this does really well. I just love my fantasy to be this big epic scope. And I feel like with the heights that were reached in the 3rd book of the trilogy, you know, I would have, of course, liked to see a little bit more of that in this. But not to say that, you know, that takes this away from this. It's just that that's the kind of fantasy I typically like reading. But I will say that this one does the shorter bite-sized snack while still feeling like well-earned payoffs and feeling like a proper storyline with a singular focus is really good. So Philip, thank you so much for sending this to me. I had a blast with this, and I will be a day 1 reader of anything you do, my friend. I am leaving the links down below so you could support these wonderful authors as well. So make sure to check out those links down below. The next book I read on my Kindle, so I'm going to put the image up here. And it was a buddy read with my dear friend Cliff from Cliff's Dark Gems, and that is book 4 of the Matthew Corbett series, The Providence Rider. Now, it's 4 books into the series, so if you don't know what this series is about, I will just tell you the very bare bones, but I don't want to spoil anything for you. But the first book takes place in 1699, the second book takes place in 1703, and you know, you start to progress through Matthew Corbett's life, but he's a private investigator in America at that time. So the politics comes into play, the rising of cities and things like that starts to come into play. And there is a little bit of a mystery of the week with each entry, but there's a wider kind of universe that's expanding out. So what did I feel about the fourth book? Personally, for me, I would say it's the best one in the series. I think like it goes into James Bond territory. It's larger than life at times. You meet so many more of the villains, and Matthew Corbett is kind of forced to work with this main antagonist, and he kind of meets some of the unsavory cast of characters along the way, but it really expands Matthew Corbett's world. I think that was really cool. There are a few choices that were made towards the end that were like, come on, man, why did you do this? No, there were a couple choices that I wish could have gone differently, but I do feel like on the whole, it was definitely my favorite entry of the series, and it showed me that, you know, even though this is 4 books in, it is getting more interesting, not less. You know, it doesn't feel like, oh, this is something we've read before. It's really expanding the world forward. So highly recommend you check out the series if you have not. And it is the Matthew Corbett series by Robert McCammon. This one is The Providence Rider. And the third book I got a chance to read a little bit of is Memories of Ice, Book 3 of Malazan Book of the Phone by Steven Erikson. This is a group read-along that we're doing as an official channel read-along. I think a lot of people have fallen off of it, so it might just be me and a few others right now. But I'm making my way through the end of Memories of Ice, loving it. I'm like chapter 20, so I have a few more chapters to go. Let's see if I can finish it before the month closes out. But let's talk a little bit about what I'm going to read this week. So, Memories of Ice is the first thing on the docket. Now, if I could finish that in time for July 1st, I would like to start a few other books. The first one is Mad Ship, which is book 2 of the Live Ship Trader series by Robin Hobb. Very excited to get to this because this is a buddy read with Ellie from Bibbidi Bobbidi Books. I'm linking all these channels below. And I'm excited to see where the Vestrit family ends up. I'm excited to see the repercussions on Big Town with specific decisions that were made towards the end of book 1. I am loving these characters. I feel like there's not a dull chapter in the first book, and I'm excited to see what Robin Hobb does next, because I think she's really hit her stride in terms of the balance between pacing, prose, character development. Really, really riveting stuff. So Mad Ship is going to be the first book I'm going to read. The second book I want to read and start, definitely not read, is Jenny Wirtz's Fugitive Prince. I've been putting this off, not for lack of wanting to read it, but because I wanted to get Memories of Ice done first and a couple of other things so that I can actually devote attention to this, because this is one of those chew your food slowly, enjoy every bite, enjoy every, like your taste buds will be alight. Your book reading taste buds will be alight. So this is starting a new arc 3 in her Wars of Light and Shadow 11 book series. So this is book 4. And I'm very excited to see where Erathon and Lysair end up in this book. So this is going to be the next one I'm going to start. And then I also want to start The Stone of Farewell, which I think I have here somewhere. There's so many books on my desk, you guys. This is getting to be a little ridiculous. But, oh God, okay. Here we go. This is Stone of Farewell. This is Tad Williams. Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series. This is book 2. We are reading this as a group read-along with Booked and Busy and a bunch of other booktubers. Philip Chase being one of them. So definitely check out the video that I'm going to be posting up here if you want to see our discussion of the Dragonbone chair. But I love the first book. I think me and Philip were the most high on this series so far, so looking forward to continuing on and see what is up for Simon and the crew. So that is what I'm going to be reading this week. Let's talk a little bit about the week's schedule. So I released 2 videos in addition to the Reading Roundup, so I've been keeping to the 3 like promised. I want to, vamp up this channel and keep giving you content. So I did 2 videos in addition to the Reading Roundup. One was my mid-year freakout tag, which was popularized by Murphy Napier and then has been, done by every booktuber. So I'm like, I have to follow suit and follow tradition. So I got to talk about my favorite reads, most disappointing reads of the year, what's on my TBR for the rest of the year, that kind of thing. You could check that video out up here if you want. And then the other thing that I did was I did a July TBR video, which I think I've already alluded to some of the books here. So, you could check out that for a full list if you'd like to check that out. This coming week, I'm going to be releasing 3 videos, 2 on my channel, and then 1 will be released on another channel. I'll talk about that in a moment, but I'm going to do my June wrap up, talking a little bit about taking stock of the month, what I read, what went right, what went wrong. I'm going to do a book haul video because I've been getting some book mail from some wonderful, wonderful people, and I want to highlight those and thank them. So that is going to be something I'm going to do. And then that will clear the decks for future weeks because I want to get back to doing long form content that investigates topics. I want to do stuff like what makes a good adaptation, what makes a not so good adaptation. I want to bring back adaptation news. I want to do more deep dives into either literary or music for literary topics. And I think it could be a fun way to really just like do something different on Booktube. So we'll be doing that in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. And then the other thing, kind of piggybacking off that idea, is there's a music and storytelling discussion I had with David from Four Corners of the Page and Joanna from Joanna Reads, two absolutely lovely human beings. We talked for like 2 hours, you guys, about all things music and storytelling. Like about an hour and 15 for the actual chat, and we ended up chatting like 45 minutes after. And it was just wonderful because, you know, I've been following Joanna for her channel for years. I think since she started in 2021. And I just love the way she deep dives into intentional reading and trying to understand analytically characters' motivations and stuff. And yeah, I just love the way she talks books. So it was a real treat to get to talk to her. David, thank you for setting this up and providing such a wonderful discussion for us three. It was so much fun. Like, I can't wait to do that again. So I will be letting you know in a community post when that's going up. I believe it will be Saturday, July 5th on David from Four Corners of the Page, his channel. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But it is an illuminating discussion because we all approached it from different standpoints. I approached music as a storytelling device. They approached like storytelling and then music from, you know, like from looking at it from a storytelling perspective. So we kind of looked at it from different angles, and I think that made it really a fun discussion. Let's talk a little bit about the music front. So things have kind of been picking up a little bit, thank God. So I'm starting on a new game. Too early to say what it is. So I'm going to be vague speaking a lot in these updates, I think, for a while. Linda's game is going great. I got some more stuff I got to do, so I'm going to be hammering those out this week. Docuseries, nature docuseries on conservation. I'm going to be kind of starting a little bit on that. Very light touches on that. Shadow of the Mages, a YouTube series. I just got a chance to meet with the director. And he showed me a little bit of this kind of pilot episode, like just a teaser. Man, this is going to be something really special. So I'm very excited to write some fantasy music for something like this, and I'll keep you all posted on how that all goes. And then I just got back, actually. So if my voice sounds a little, you know, kind of sore, it's because I was kind of talking a lot before I came here to talk to all you. But I was at a benefit show with the Female Composer Safety League. I had a bunch of pieces debut there with a string orchestra and a pianist, percussionist, oboist, and flautist. So really nice ensemble at a church in Pasadena. And we got a chance to debut some of our film works. There was the composer of Murderbot there. There was a composer of Wandla, the Apple TV series. There was my stuff. There was, Sun Lux from Everything Everywhere at Once. They debuted some pieces, and they had their suite for Everything Everywhere. So, yeah, it was a really great hang, you know, and everybody was really cool there. So we had a blast. And, you know, I always like to talk about books and music and film, really, and TV, because all these things, as I said, they intermingle, right? The Murderbot thing, that was a book adapted. And it's fun to see literary characterization and representation on page and on screen. So if you like that kind of content, please like and subscribe, and thank you for being here. Let me know how your week was. I would love to know what went right for you. Did you read anything cool this week? Let me know in the comments. As always, I love chatting with you. This is always the start of a dialogue, always for me. In the Discord, always welcome. Link is below if you want to chat. Amazon wishlist and other links as well in case you want to support the channel. And yeah, I just really appreciate you being here. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And as always, I will see you on the next video. Count on it on Wednesday. Take care.